Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel DevOps Codex. And today we are kicking off our Docker Mastery series. And in this episode, we are answering the questions like what is Docker and why is it a must known for every DevOps engineer. If you are still developing your app using the virtual machine or manually provisioning the servers, Docker will completely change your workflows. Let's dive right in. So the problem statement is like uh, before the Docker, team heavily rely on the virtual machines. So before the Docker, team use virtual machines to run our applications. So in virtual machines allowed the multiple OS to run a single server using the hypervisor. You can see in this diagram, each VM need a OS. See, this is one VM and this is the second VM and this is the third VM. And how the virtual machine works. So this is the first layer of infrastructure layer, in the sense hardware layer. And top of hardware we were installing the operating system, and on top of operating system we use to install the hypervisor so that it can share our hardware in multiple virtual machines. We can divide our uh, single hardware into the multiple virtual machines. You can see here, this is the one virtual machine. On top of hypervisor, we were creating the virtual machine and installing the guest OS. And on top of guest OS, we were running the applications. Similarly, you can see here, this is our second OS and second VM, and this is the guest OS, and top of guest OS we are installing our applications. We are running our applications too. Similarly, for third VM, this is the funda. Okay, so in virtual machines, uh, the problem was like each VM. So each VM has own OS. You can see here, every VM having own AS and slow startup and high memory usage, because due to the operating system, when you reboot your instance or virtual machine, it will be take the time and memory usage will be high. End of the day, it is utilizing the resource of your underlying hardware, and it is very complex, and you can say it is the resource hungry kind of things was there. Okay, and the portability was very complex. Suppose you have multiple environments like dev environment, okay, and stage environment, and you created a VM in dev environment, you want to move this VM in stage environment, it is very heavy process. So portability was very portability and scalability was very painful for virtual environment. That's where Docker comes in picture. You can see here in this diagram the VM characteristics and challenges over OS overhead. So every VM needs own OS and leading the resource replications, slow startups whenever our virtual machines reboot. That time it's take longer to boot due to the OS loading, and this one you can see here, high memory usage. VM consumes the significant memory due to OS and applications, and scaling complexity and poor portability from one environment to another environment. So Docker comes in picture. Then what is the Docker? Docker is the containerization tool or platform. It let you package your application with everything it's need to run, like code, libraries, dependencies, into a single container, and into a single lightweight unit that we are calling a container. Container, you can see here in this diagram, this is the container diagram. So in container, the underlying hardware is the same. On top of hardware, we are installing the operating system, and on top of operating system, rather than installing the hypervisor, we are installing the container engine. Container engine could anything, okay, any containerization tool. Here we are talking about the Docker, then it is the Docker, and on top of container engine, we were running the multiple containers. You can see here, this is the app 1 container 1, app 2 container 2, and app 3 is the container 3. So it shares the host OS kernel. This container is sharing the kernel of our host machine. This container is also sharing the kernel of our host machine, and third one is also sharing the kernel of host machines. So it is very lightweight. It's start in millisecond and extremely portable. We can port in one environment to another environment very easy. You can build once and run anywhere. And suppose you are developing your application in local system, you can build your uh, build your Docker image in local system, and same Docker image you can use in multiple environment, like on cloud, on virtual machine, or anywhere, okay, wherever required. So and your build like and it is very easy to integrate with our CI/CD, okay. So it is very lightweight, okay. So you can package your application and dependencies and runs very fast, okay. If you're talking about the components of the Docker container and advantage, this is the applications and libraries. You can pack it, you can install the dependencies, and it is very lightweight because it is sharing the OS of our host machines, and easily you can port from dev to stage or prod environment, same. So it is very portable. And next, if we are talking about in real time, we are seeing the cargo shipping containers, okay. So think the container like Docker container like a shipping container, no matter what is inside it. It could be any kind of applications, Python applications, Java based applications, any databases, anything. Similar, like you can see in container, we can put anything right inside this container. Like it could be TV or a fridge or a bike, food. It allows same external standard, okay, to keep the things inside this container. Similarly, if you are using the software container, it 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 can store multiple things like Java based applications, Python based applications, any dependencies, any package required. Suppose you are using multiple libraries or third party libraries, all the things you can pack in single container. So similarly, uh, these containers are very portable. They can move across the ship, truck, train without unpackaging it. Similarly, these software containers also we can move one place to another place without unpacking it. Like in our case, we have the environment like dev environment, prod environment, stage or testing or local system. Anywhere we can run the same package, whatever we are building. So like there are lot of similarities. That is why we are comparing Docker containers with our shipping containers. And uh, the Docker, let's think about let's think about Docker revolution in modern DevOps, how Docker containers fit into it, okay. due to its due, there are multiple regions. Okay, multiple regions in the sense due to the portability, due to the consistency. Okay, consistency in the sense work the same on dev, test and prod. Any environment you can run. Portability in the sense build once, run anywhere. Anywhere in the sense like in our local, on cloud, on VM or dev environment, stage environment, production environment, whether you are using AWS cloud or GCP or Azure, anywhere you can run it. And third one is the efficiency. Efficiency in the sense it is like containers use fewer resource than VMs. Fewer resource in the sense uh, it is sharing the host kernels, so its own have very lightweight things, only minimal installation of the things, so it is very lightweight. Okay, and if you're talking about the speed, faster boot and deployment cycles, and you can manage the versioning. You can tag your Docker containers, and you can roll back very easily, reproduce the build any environment. Okay, and it integrate with multiple tools like Jenkins, GitHub Actions, Kubernetes, and if you are using Bitbucket pipeline, we can do that. So Docker containers benefits is its portability. This is the beauty of the Docker container. Consistency. Same image you can use in multiple environments. There will not be any mismatch in dev environment, production environment, or stage environment. This is very bigger problem in software development life cycle, because people used to complain, ए डेव इन्वायरमेंट में तो ये डिपेंडेंसी नहीं है, प्रोडक्शन इन्वायरमेंट में ये नया पैकेज आ गया, ये पैकेज हमारे इस इन्वायरमेंट में नहीं है, ड्यू टू दिस वी आर फेसिंग दिस इशू. सो मेनी थिंग्स पर देयर. और थर्ड, जब हम डिप्लॉयमेंट करते हैं, स्केलिंग अप करते हैं, स्केल डाउन करते हैं, दैट टाइम स्पीड्स मैटर्स, राइट. कितना जल्दी हमारा सर्वर्स स्पिन अप हो जाता है, डॉकर कंटेनर स्पिन अप हो जाता है, बूटिंग टाइम कितना लग रहा है, वो वहाँ पे पता चलता है. प्लस whatever version you are installing, you can track your version, you can roll based on the those things. These are the flexibilities available in our Docker containers, and it's very easy to integrate with the Jenkins pipeline, GitHub Actions, Kubernetes. If you are using any other third-party tool, you can integrate with those tools. So it is very compatible. Okay, and and the and the maintenance of the Docker container is very easy. It is not that much costly. So DevOps that is why in IT industries, DevOps people are other developers also like the Docker containers. I think that's a quite overview of the Docker, what is Docker is and why it is so powerful. In next video, we will open the Docker internals and see how it works under the hood. If this video helped you, leave a comment, like this video, and don't forget to subscribe for full series of the DevOps. This is DevOps Codex. See you in episode 3. Thank you all. Have a good day. Bye bye.